Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. This is a cheeky little Q&A that me and my housemate Molly filmed a few months ago. It's kind of long, so you'll find timestamps in the video description and in a pinned comment, so you can jump around if you feel like it. And in this video, we've answered 15 questions, but over on Nebula, we've got 2 more videos where we answered 20 more questions, and you'll find more details about that in the video description. So enjoy the Q&A. So, Molly, this is the first time you've appeared on the channel in several years. Can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Hello, my name is Molly. I am also a junior doctor working in the Cambridge region, and I know Ali through having gone to medical school with him here at Cambridge. Yeah, that's essentially me.
Yeah, so Molly and I have known each other since 2012. That was when we ended up in the same year in the same college studying medicine, and so we've known each other for 8 years now.
Yeah.
And now we live together, so that's that. Before we get started, we need to address an important query that lots of people sent in, and that was about our relationship. So we've got, why aren't you two together? #cuties. Have you guys ever hooked up? If not, why? Are you two dating? When are you getting married? Are you two together? Heart face. Are you guys together? You dating? Is your girlfriend she is? Are you guys dating? Yeah, just like, we should probably address this once and for all. Are we dating?
Yes.
Right. We are now moving on to, we are not dating. If anyone's interested, let me know, but we are not dating. Molly is in a happy relationship, or so she says. Right, let's move on swiftly. Why did you want to become a doctor? So from Marvin Dressel.
I think I've already answered this.
So you wanted to become a doctor, right? I'm going to paraphrase your answer. So you had cancer at the age of 10, went through loads of operations during your childhood, and that gave you an appreciation of what life in medicine would be like, and you thought now that you were sort of home free on the other side of it, you wanted to do the same and help other people. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. Anything more to add, or is that...
No.
Cool. And I wanted to be a doctor because, well, I didn't really know what else to do with my life, if I'm being honest. And when you're brown, then the default thing that you do is you become a doctor. And I also realized sort of at the age of like 16, it was a choice between being a doctor like medicine and computer science, because I liked computers and coding and stuff. And I thought it'd be more interesting to be a doctor who can code than to just be a computer scientist. Plus, I thought that 6 years at uni would be better than 3 years at uni. So all those factors were my motivation for being a doctor, which is fully
Admirable.
Yeah, fully admirable compared to yours. All right. What is your least favorite aspect of being junior doctors? Oh, we're on to the doctor questions now. What's your least favorite aspect of being junior doctor? For me, that's easy. It's the fact that it's a full-time job. I freaking hate having a full-time job because if I want to take time off or go on holiday, I have to ask permission from my rota coordinator. And at the moment, like, she's very nice and gives me permission to take leave. But the fact that I have to ask permission to go on a holiday with my mates, and then if I'm on call a given week and my friends are going skiing that week, I have to arrange swaps. It's such an absolute nightmare having a full-time job. The other really annoying thing about it is that going into work is no longer optional. Like when you're a medical student, it's optional whether or not you go into the hospital because no one actually cares. But as soon as you start working as a doctor or in any kind of real job, it's not an option anymore. You have to go in every morning, whether you feel like it or not. So those are my least favorite aspects of being a junior doctor. But that's more about the fact that it's a full-time job rather than it's about the fact that I'm a doctor. What about you? After all that.
Are you okay?
Oh, I really had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, clearly.
I feel like an email.
Okay. Mine is similar. I mean, it's not that it's a full-time job. I don't hate that bit, but I hate the rota and the annual leave side of it. I think that is the work itself is not at all my least favourite aspect. I think it's the logistics of it that's my least favourite aspect. So, as Ali said, if you've got like a friend's wedding in a year's time, that like low level anxiety that at some point you're going to have to try and beg for that leave or swap it round, that's the thing I find most difficult.
What was the greatest challenge for you growing up, says Ali Rashid.
Go ahead.
I haven't really had any challenges growing up at all in my life. I've lived a very privileged life with basically no adversity in the slightest. You know, thank you, Mum, for bringing me up in an environment where I didn't really have to worry about anything. So yeah, I've just been really lucky. So what's your story? What's your story, Molly? I
mean, I had some challenges growing up. I mean, to be fair, I had a very good childhood and a very loving parents, good school, etc., etc. So
cool.
Everything was great, realistically. So in the grand scheme of things, all fine. But I did spend quite a lot of time in hospital when I was a child, and through my teenage years, which I guess for me was a pretty big challenge at the time, and still is to some extent.
So you were in hospital. Why were you in hospital? What happened?
So when I was 10 years old, I was diagnosed with bone cancer, and it was in my hip. And so initially I had to have chemotherapy, a mixture of quite intense drugs with lots of different side effects for about 3 months. And then after that, I had to have a hip and femur replacement. So I had where your sort of hip joins here, like this, your hip joint, my hip bit, the femur, was replaced. So that was initially when I was 10 years old. And then after that, various things went wrong and I had to have replacements of the hip replacement. And eventually this part of the hip as well was replaced. So yeah, a lot of operations and time spent in hospital.
Because like for most of your teenage years, you were sort of in and out of hospital.
Yeah. So I was 10 when I was diagnosed. So that I was in UK, that's year 5. So I missed most of year 5 through all of that. And then year 6, I had to have another operation. So I missed half of that. Year 7, I didn't start initially at the same time as everyone else because I was having an operation. So I missed half of that as well. And then I think I went to the whole of year 8. It gets a bit hazy year 9, 10, 11. I can't remember which bits it was, but for 2 of those years, I had another operation. I think year 11, I was at school the whole time.
Okay.
And year 12 and year 13. So nice. I improved towards the end.
Okay. And what impact does that, having cancer and then various hip replacements that went wrong and then more hip replacements, what impact does that have on your life today?
Oh, I think it's had a huge impact. I mean, it's difficult to tell because before you're 10, I don't know how much of your personality is already made by that point and whether I would just be the same person as I was before that. But I feel like, well, firstly, it probably made me interested in medicine. I think I was scientific anyway. Up until that point, I'd always enjoyed science most. So I don't think it's changed me in that way, but it just showed me a possible career. And I was so exposed to it that it made me much more likely and more interested to go into it, I think. So I would say that has had a huge impact because it's probably why I'm doing what I'm doing at the moment. And I think it has, maybe with the question about living in the moment, I think it has made me more like that to some extent, in that I do really appreciate good things that are happening around me and good people now. But then I also think it does the other way as well, in that it makes me fear for the future more because I know that things have gone wrong in the past, so why won't they in the future? So I think it's complex. It's part of every part of my personality, I think, to some extent.
And are you completely back to normal now?
What, physically or mentally? Well, not physically. Obviously, I still have my big hip replacement, and I have some nerve damage because one of the operations went wrong. And so I've got something called foot drop, which means that I essentially am sort of paralysed in my foot, and various different other things. But essentially it means that I don't walk as well as everyone else. I need crutches or walking stick to get around, a wheelchair if we're going far afield. So physically, no, I'm not back to normal, but I'm very used to this being my normal now.
Okay. And so having had all of these sort of like challenges, which I've certainly never experienced, like anything near that magnitude, how do you cope with it? How do you like pick yourself up from such a, I want to say troubled childhood, but that's not really what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, it's strange because when I look back at my childhood, it's not sad to me. I look back and I think of this amazing childhood I had, and I think that is a testament to my family and my friends and the people who were around me supporting me through it all. So because I was really lucky to have those people and that support network, I'm not as sort of traumatized as I think I could have been. But I definitely, as a teenager, I struggled a huge amount with not being the same as other people around me, not being able to do the same things as everyone else, feeling very different. And I think that a lot of teenagers feel that way anyway about something. But for me, my thing was my disability, which became the thing I fixated on then and made me have very low self-esteem and things like that. So I think at that time, for anyone growing up with any kind of adversity, it's very tricky. Yeah, the support network is the first thing. I guess, I mean, I have to mention Over the Wall, which I've talked to you about a lot. I've talked to lots of people about, which was and is a charity that runs sort of free activity camps for children with illnesses or disabilities, and also for their families. And I was pointed in their direction after a few of my operations, and essentially it's a chance to sort of go to this activity camp where they're all very set up for people with various needs and illnesses. There's doctors and nurses at the camps themselves, so they're very safe. And you get to just do amazing things, like you get to do horse riding or rock climbing or things that you just, as a disabled person or an ill child, wouldn't be able to do. And that essentially started the process of building back my confidence and learning that even though I wasn't as able as other people, I could find a way to do things. And so I think that is a huge part now of my mentality. In when I come up against a struggle or something I can't do as well as someone else, I try to find a way around it and find a new way to do it. And I, to date, have really tried not to let my disability stop me doing anything. So, yeah, thanks Over the Wall.
Cool. Right, that got deep. Right, feel all right? That's off your chest. We'll link to Over the Wall in the video description. They're always looking for volunteers and stuff.
Please volunteer. They are great.
All right. Did you ever have self-doubt in your life? Says Reddy Shanthan. What do you reckon? Did you ever have self-doubt in your life?
I have always, and think I will always have self-doubt.
What does self-doubt mean to you? Like, what does it actually look like? I'm curious. Tell me.
Worry, I think. Worry that you're not good enough, that you're not doing a good enough job, that you won't achieve the things you've set out to do, that you'll disappoint other people, all of those things.
I just can't relate to that at all.
Have you ever had self-doubt?
I mean, I guess if it's like I'm running a race and I know I'm not the fastest in the race, then that would give me a sense of self-doubt that I don't know if I could win the race.
Yeah.
But I like to not think too hard about outcomes, because winning the race would then be being outcome dependent. Whereas competing in the race and doing my best is what matters to me. Mm-hmm. And so I have no self-doubt about, I doubt I'll be able to do my best, because I know I'll do my best because I just will.
Yeah.
But I don't even think about whether I'll win the race, because it seems totally pointless to think about the outcomes.
Yeah. I can't think like that. Or I could think like that, but I don't.
Okay. So when you say, for example, not doing a good enough job, like as a doctor, do you feel these, like how often do you feel like self-doubt? Like what does that mean on the job?
So I guess, I mean, the thing is, we both probably experience the same thing, but you just rationalise that feeling straight away, whereas I would take it much more personally. Because, you know, every time we change rotations as doctors, we have to change. In your first few years, every 4 months, you move to a different specialty. And so each time you do that, it feels almost like you're going back to the beginning, and you suddenly don't know where anything is, how logistically to organise things like scans or blood tests or things like that. You might move to a different hospital, there's a different computer system, etc., etc. I would, in those times, think that it's me that's the problem. Even though obviously looking at the outside situation, you would think you're in a new job, you're not going to be so good. But I would have self-doubt every time I start in a 4-month period and think, am I ever going to get better at this? Is it me that's being really slow? Does everyone else think I'm being really slow? Whereas you would obviously go in and just have that exact same feeling. You're in the same situation as me, but you would go in and say, I can completely rationalise why this is happening, and it's not me, it's the system. Therefore, I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of learn on the job, and it's all good.
Exactly. But I think the thing is now, I don't have that feeling as much, having rotated 5 times now, or whatever it is. But then there'll be a new scenario where that same cycle happens again. And I think for me, I need more evidence. I need to build up more evidence to myself to prove that it's not me. But for you, I think you inherently understand that the system can cause these things, or at least you look for an alternative explanation other than I am at fault.
Yeah.
Whereas I have to have a catalogue of history to back me up, to remind myself each time before I go into that cycle of turmoil.
Got it. But like for me, it's not a case of because it's not a case of finding any sort of explanation to blame the system rather than to blame myself. I'm completely content to blame if I've made a mistake or something and be like, yeah, I should have done that differently, and that's fine. But I wouldn't feel sort of like self-doubt in that sense. I'm like, okay, yeah, I made a mistake. I know what I'm doing next time. It's fine.
Yeah. Whereas I would take every mistake I made very personally, I think.
Okay.
And think that reflects on me rather than that it's something I can learn from. And, you know, there's the whole growth mindset thing that you've been trying to teach me for the past sort of like 8 years, which I gradually am getting better at. But it's a process.
Okay, awesome. How did you and Molly become flatmates?
Ali gradually asked me until I said yes.
I swear it wasn't that.
It was.
Nah, come on.
It was.
Really?
I wasn't that keen initially.
Weren't you? I saw you were pretty open to the idea from day one.
I was open to the idea, but I had my reservations.
Okay.
Whereas you, from the beginning, were just like, this is what I will do.
Yeah. Fine. So basically, when Molly and I think it was around February, June, April, May 2018, we found out that we were both going to be basically in the same hospital in our first year of being doctors and then in a nearby hospital in our second year of being doctors. And around that time, I was thinking of buying a flat or buying a house or something. And from that moment, I was like, right, I need to live with Molly. And this is how it's going to work. I'm going to buy a place, I'm going to get a joint mortgage with my brother, and Molly's going to help pay the rent, pay the mortgage. And
little did I know that this had been planned out for me.
It was fully planned out.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, Molly, should we live together? And you were like, yeah, all right. And then we started looking at houses.
After many conversations with my family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why did you have to have so many conversations with your family?
Well, as in, I was worried about living with one person. Would I get lonely? Would I get bored? Worried about living with you. Would I hate you? Would you be annoying? Etc.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah. I think, no, it's mainly living with one person.
Okay.
I was worried about. But basically, there were no other people.
Yeah, you had no other option. So you're stuck here and here we are now. So, right. All right. Rahul Ahuja says, how did your mum react when you told her that you're going to live with her? Live with my mum. Live with Molly, probably means. My mum actually didn't mind. My grandma wasn't a fan of me living with Molly because my grandma's theory was that what if people think that you're together and then no one's going to want to marry you because they think you've got a girlfriend? That was my grandma's sort of thesis on that front. And so far, I think that's why no one wants to marry me, because they think I've got a girlfriend.
So it's my fault.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. How often do you guys fight? Oh, this is Rahul Ahuja again. What is the usual reason behind those fights? How often do we fight? I feel the fights are mostly unilateral.
We've only ever properly fought 2 or 3 times.
What are you defining as a fight?
When I've actually been annoyed at you.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And when we've had to actually figure something out.
Yeah.
But that's only 2 or 3 times in 8 years.
Yeah, true. And the genre of that has always been sort of in the last year with
with YouTube.
Yeah, and you not being comfortable with bits of your life being on the gram.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're becoming more and more okay with more of that now over time.
I think you're learning more and more what my limits are.
Okay, fine. That seems reasonable. Oh, Rahul Ahuja again. Does it ever happen that you get tired of seeing each other daily?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
We don't see each other daily.
No, we really don't.
We hardly ever see each other.
I wouldn't say hardly ever. I think about half the time. I think on average, about 50% of the time, we're both in the house on a given evening.
When we're both in the house, we don't talk that much.
Yeah, no. We might talk over dinner or takeaway or something, or just casually. Or if Molly's crying after a day of work. This is the most we've talked basically all year, all year put together. We haven't talked this much.
We're just getting it all out here.
But that's what I think is a really nice thing about living with someone that you already know really well, is that, I can get home from work and I can literally sit in front of the computer and just churn out some videos, and Molly wouldn't really care. Very occasionally you're like, hey, give me attention. That's very occasionally. It doesn't get irritating too much. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Cool. How do you guys cook at home versus eat takeout with your schedules and the cost of eating out?
I eat in restaurants and Ali gets takeaway.
Yeah. I think this year, over half of my meals have been takeaways. I've eaten a home-cooked meal in the house fewer than 10 times this year. Everything else I eat is either takeaway or I eat at work. And eating at work is really common because I skip breakfast and just get a coffee in the morning. And then lunch I always have at work. And then dinner, if I'm working a long day, I'll always have at work. Or if, I come home And no, might as well just order takeaway.
Basically, if you look in our fridge, it's all my stuff that I've gone out and bought. You never put anything, you never buy anything, really.
I've got a Fanta there at the moment.
Yeah.
And like those the squeezy yogurt things.
So I cook. I probably eat out a few times a week, and then the rest of the time I will cook.
Yeah.
And I'll take things to work for lunch. So I don't buy lunch there. So I'll take like ready meals, or I'll cook a big thing of pasta and then take the rest for lunch the next day. But I wouldn't say I cook, because I don't do interesting recipes or anything. I just make pasta, fish cakes.
Yeah, I mean,
ready meals, like simple things at home.
This afternoon you put pasta and pasta sauce and added some veg to it. That was a pretty good meal.
Yeah, but that's
so it definitely
very
counts as
simple.
cooking. If you weren't in the house, I would have got a takeaway.
Yeah.
And I suppose when it comes to the cost of eating out, this is something I think about a fair bit. But the way I rationalize it is that, that extra half an hour of time where I don't have to think about food or cooking or cleaning up and stuff, that's an extra half an hour of time I could put into making a YouTube video. And just because of the staggering difference in what the value of my time is making a YouTube video versus the value of my time in not getting a takeaway, it just to my mind, it makes absolutely no sense to be thinking about food and washing up when I could be spending that time making a YouTube video.
But from my point of view, food is a hobby and food is something I love.
Yeah, sure.
And I love eating out at restaurants as an activity in itself. So the way I rationalise it
this is a hobby.
is that I literally don't buy clothes. Like, I don't go shopping. I don't spend money on that. Maybe I have like fewer other hobbies I would spend money on. So food I treat as a hobby.
Okay, yeah, seems very reasonable. Childhood crushes, question mark. So for me, that is so in the Aladdin original film, the cartoon, when Jasmine is like chained up by Jafar, that was like my first childhood crush.
Why?
Just leave that there. What about you? Who are your childhood crushes?
Who is my childhood crush? I'm trying to think.
Annie from 90210.
You've got loads.
Catherine from the Vampire Diaries.
Here we go.
But not Elena. Catherine had nice curly hair and had more of a sassy attitude, whereas Elena was a bit whiny and mopey, even though it was the same actress.
I mean, Zac Efron, but he's still my adult crush.
Okay.
So.
Wait, was Zac Efron crush-worthy in like High School Musical 1?
Yeah, at the time.
Oh, because he was like
because
cute
he was like one of those,
that,
hair.
Yeah. Like the Liam Payne original hairstyle. Nice.
I don't know about childhood.
What about childhood
Simba
crushes?
in The Lion King.
Really? You got a crush on Simba in The Lion King?
You know that moment where the like young Simba is walking along in Hakuna Matata, and then it becomes medium Simba, and he like does a hair flick.
You were like,
yeah.
Okay, I think that's more weird than my crush on Jasmine.
Maybe. But then did you come to see The Lion King with me, the new one?
I watched it with someone else, I think.
Okay. Well, when I went to see the new Lion King...
Yeah, you felt nothing for those 3D
No,
animated.
the same thing happened.
Really? Wow. Do you like 2D or 3D? I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as they're lifelike animals.
Good old Simba. It's just a bit... Yeah.
It's something about that hair flick.
Yeah.
Fine. What about childhood crushes in real life?
What do you mean? Oh, real people?
Yeah. I think first girl I had a crush on was in primary school in Africa. Her name was Tanya. Second girl I had a crush on was in primary school in Pakistan. Her name was Tanya as well. So I think of Tanya's. And then there was a girl called Lily in primary school in the UK who was like my first like proper crush.
I didn't have any.
You don't have any?
No.
Any that you want to say publicly?
Yeah.
There is zero chance that any of those three are watching the videos. What is each other's most irritating habit? Go on.
I find it really annoying that you don't put things away.
Okay.
Which I realise I don't do either, but like when
someone else does it, you really grind your gears.
No, it really annoys me when like you've opened something.
Yeah.
You know, you've clearly got a delivery, it's come through the door, you've opened it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then you can literally see where you've like picked it out of the box and moved into here and started playing with your new toy. And like 2 days later, the box is still there, newly unwrapped.
Yep.
That's annoying.
Fine. What annoys me about you? I don't think anything does really.
Yeah, but does anything annoy you about anyone?
I mean, I have a very high threshold for becoming irritated.
I don't think it's that I'm not an irritating person. I think that you're not an irritated person.
What do you do that really annoys me? Yeah, no, I don't I don't have anything, like literally not. Favourite thing about living together, from Priscilla in Transit. That's cute. What's your favourite thing about living together?
That we're both very chilled. Maybe you don't think this about me. But we are fundamentally quite chilled and allow the other person to sort of get on with their own life, which I think sometimes if you're living with someone, you are like duty bound to spend time with them, or like not have friends around,
so you're saying
etc.
Your favourite thing about living together is not having to interact?
Yes.
I actually fully agree. I think it's really nice having someone who's just kind of there by default.
Yeah.
But that you literally have to put zero effort into sort of maintaining the relationship with. Because like even with my mum now, I have to put in a modicum of effort to like maintain that relationship. Whereas with you, I literally have zero in the slightest.
No.
Could not care less.
Yeah. When we move out.
Yeah, we're done.
We're never going to talk again.
Hey, you're going to be lucky to get a birthday card.
Thanks.
And what gear does Molly use day to day, and is Ali an influence when purchasing tech?
Does this mean tech gear?
I don't think he means like what necklace you wear or what perfume you wear. I think he means like what's in your pockets, like that sort of thing. What's your main driver laptop?
I mean, my iPhone is the main thing I use all the time for everything. Because my laptop I've had since day one of uni.
So 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It's one of those crappy brick Toshiba
lightweight,
laptops.
yeah, really doesn't work, needs plugging in constantly now, and is very, very slow. So basically I don't use my laptop anymore, and my phone is basically my camera, my laptop, my sat nav, my everything.
Yeah, you're one of those people that you would just sit on the sofa literally on your phone for hours.
Yeah.
And I'd be thinking, what the hell are you doing on your phone for that long?
Yeah, I spend so much time on my phone.
Nice. And is Ali an influence when purchasing tech?
Yes, Ali made me buy my phone.
Because you had an iPhone SE, 5 SE or something like that.
Yeah.
That tiny little crappy one. And then I'm talking to you into getting an iPhone 11, and that changed your life.
It did change my life. Like, honestly.
Not sponsored by Apple, unfortunately.
No.
I wish.
No, it was a particularly bad day at work, that, wasn't it? And I came home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even come home. I met you at the Apple store.
Yeah, you were like, I've had a terrible day at
I was
work.
like, I've had a really, and we've been like vaguely talking about this iPhone, and I'd been playing on Ali's phone and thinking, oh, this is quite nice. And then I had a terrible day at work. I can't even remember why anymore, but I basically texted Ali being like, what are you doing?
I was like, I'm in the Apple store
He
buying
said,
some iPads or something.
I'm going to the Apple store, meet me there. And I was like, okay. And drove there, and no, you were returning all of the
I was returning all the
that you'd reviewed.
all the iPhones that I'd reviewed, yeah.
And I ended up coming away with a new one, and then we went to all you can eat sushi.
Yeah, that was good.
With some A-level students.
Yes.
Tristan
and David. Who knows? Favourite Disney song? Ooh, toss up between Can You Feel the Love Tonight and I See the Light.
Oh, good ones. I used to love When Will My Life Begin, Tangled. I used to absolutely love that. First year of uni, I had a Tangled poster. It was really cool.
Nice.
And I used to go around and sing to myself doing that. Anyway, I would say, well, the two I listen most to are now Make a Man Out of You and Zero to Hero, Hercules.
Nice. And that's it. That brings us to the end of the Q&A.
Finally.
Finally, that was long. How long have we been recording for? 1 hour and 23 minutes. Damn, that's a long time. I'm sorry you have to sit through all of this. Any parting comments?
This was fun.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
I feel like you enjoyed this.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. It's nice answering questions.
I'm not sure I will enjoy it when it's in the public sphere, but
That's fine.
maybe we should talk more often.
Maybe we should, yeah.
It's been nice.
This was fun. But I feel like talking with an audience is different to talking normally.
We could set this up and not
Yeah,
film.
we could just pretend.
Yeah.
Cool. So thanks for watching. I'll put another playlist here of more Q&As that I've done with other people, including my brother, which loads of people seem to like, and loads with just myself because I didn't have any friends before I became famous on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. So those were answers to around 15 questions that we got. We ended up actually filming for around about an hour and a half, and we answered 40 questions, I think, in total. But obviously we couldn't put all of those on YouTube. So you'll find the rest of the questions in 2 separate videos over on Nebula. If you haven't heard, Nebula is the streaming platform that me and a bunch of other creators are helping to build. On Nebula, you've got loads of exclusive content, along with This Q&A, along with my workflow series, where I kind of deep dive into my favorite productivity apps, along with my bite-sized series, where we look at snippets of bite-sized wisdom from people who have featured in interviews that I've done over the years. If you want to get access to Nebula, check out the video description. Essentially, the easiest way is to sign up to CuriosityStream. They're not sponsoring this video, but it is the best way to sign up for them. I'm just letting you know that. That's $3 a month or $20 a year. And CuriosityStream is like this amazing documentary subscription platform. And bundled with that, you've got free access to Nebula as well. So best deal in streaming available right now. But yeah, if you want to see the other 20 questions that we answered in 2 separate videos, check them out on Nebula, link in the video description. Thanks for watching. I will put a playlist here with some more Q&As that I've done. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.